Hello, welcome to the final guide for our Earthquake Werebear that we played for the Vision GL tournament. First of all, let's show some gameplay so you guys can see how the build plays for those who are not familiar with it. It's a Werebear build that uses Baldur's Wrath in order to proc Earthquake. We transform into Werebear, we can rampage fast through maps like this. We use our Maul in combination with the Earthquake to kill our enemies like that. No, and we can maul through the maps very fast. Earthquake, if you guys see, does a shit ton of damage. And again, we can just really fast run till the end. And you know, just one-shot the bosses pretty much. Oops, some loot. Fuck. So that's how the build works, right? You have your regular mauls, and then you have the ones that proc with Earthquake. Really straightforward and really fun. Let's go to the end of time and showcase how the build works. In order to level to play this build, you can check the first version, the first part of this video, which was our plans for the tournament. And that way you can play the build that I showcase in that video in order to get to this point where you get Baldur's Wrath. As you can see, my Baldur's Wrath has 9% melee crit chance. We got this thanks to the dungeon system. Again, I'm gonna have a separate video where I show all our big crafts, all the big moments of the tournament. Kind of like a small video where I just like play the clips of Twitch, so you guys can see some of those highlights for those who don't watch Twitch or just missed it. All of it was recorded and stuff, so you know, just to make sure everyone sees what is actually possible with proper progression and proper grind. But yeah, right now, because we have our Baldur's Wrath has crit chance, right now you can see our crit chance is sitting at 94%. And when we hit the dummy, you can see it hits for 500,000. If we didn't have all Bouldars, right, with crit, our crit would be at 33%. And obviously that's not really good, because you want to crit as often as possible when you're playing a crit build. How do you solve this? You solve this with Companion Spriggan, right? Summon Spriggan. You can see here you can get up to 8% base crit chance, and that would, you know, if you follow the passives that I have on this tree, you will have around 70-80% crit chance just for equipping Summon Spriggan with these points. So again, you will have the basic planner that includes the version with the Spriggan. You know, because most likely most of you are never gonna get, or you know, maybe you don't get lucky. It's gonna take a while, you know, for you to get something like this. But the build is completely playable. You just play with the Summon Spriggan instead. So again, how the build works, you know, we have Maul at a 2.5 second cooldown. So you know, we Maul, Earthquake. Our second Maul is not gonna have an Earthquake, and our third Maul is gonna have the Earthquake again, right? This is really good because it's a 2.5 second cooldown. And Baldur's Wrath has a 5 cooldown to proc Earthquake, so you can just kind of time it. And that's really handy in order to play the build. We also have Rampage, which can do a bit of damage also. Don't actually underestimate Rampage, because you can do a lot of damage. 8,000 damage is enough to kill a lot of the trash, right? Like birds and like little spiders and things like that. And you know, we also have Roar. Roar can stun enemies, so you know, if you have a big boss, you can roar into him, right? And then you Earthquake and you do the big dips into him, right? Again, we don't need to use swipe or anything, so in this build we would benefit a lot from something like a Wings of Argentus. Let's take a look at the skills. So first we have Leap. If you guys seen the first version, we basically leveled with Upheaval. So instead of Earthquake, we run Upheaval with the Upheaval nodes here and on here, right? But we're not using Upheaval anymore. Even though we could, right? Because we don't need the Spriggan, so we have an open slot. Right now I'm using it for Ice Thorns for defenses, but you could run Upheaval, you could run Warcry, whatever you want, right? Again, we have the damage, the area, the cooldown reduction. This cooldown reduction would allow us to have that 2.5 breakpoint that I mentioned. We want the hit damage against full enemies. Again, this is really cool because you know, you're rampaging through the map, you see a group of mobs, they're obviously gonna be full HP. And you can see the Maul itself does 90k damage, so it's a lot of damage even without even Earthquake. I like the pull because when we pull the enemies, then Earthquake will hit them all, but this is optional. I personally like it. And we have the binds that are really important. As you can see, we create the binds, and the binds is what is giving us the rage. But how do you make binds give you rage? Very straightforward. You grab these points in Spriggan form. You're never gonna be a Spriggan, right? Never. But you still can benefit from its tree in multiple ways. So first of all, we're getting the rage per bind, which is really good. And second of all, we're getting the Thorn Shield armor and the Thorn Shield recast. You will get Thorn Shield procs through a passive, okay? Through this passive right here on Druid, right? When you get hit, you cast Thorn Shield. And again, all those points that you have on Spriggan form will benefit those procs. Again, really, really, really nice. This is basically just for the sustain and the extra defenses. Then we have Earthquake. Earthquake is basically or big damage. You have different ways to run this. For Monolith, I would recommend running it with the extra range here. Again, even though the cone doesn't work, I did some testing and it definitely got bigger because the range still like multiplies over area, which is additive with each other, right? So again, this is the setup we're running. You could change your points. I have it slightly different in the planner for just for arena and doing a bit more single target. The way I run it is like instead of putting the points here, I put more points here, and that's it. That's the main difference. And I get the slow chance, which is pretty important for kiting, especially if you're still not familiar with how dangerous some enemies are. This will give you a lot of room to like reposition and so on. Again, if you don't have any chill chance, which you should have some chill chance because you can get it on the shaman tree, you cannot run this and just put these points into more damage anywhere, right? You have, as you can see, you have a lot of damage left that you can grab. Just do that basically, right? But I would recommend trying to get the chill chance as fast as possible, basically, because these nodes are extremely overpowered. You have different ways to get chill. You can get it on uniques, right? For example, Arthur's Legacy, Chill Touch Ring, etc., etc. You can get it once, like I mentioned, from the passives on Shaman. Right here, you have some chill chance. It's not too much, but you can get some for single target and stuff. Or you can get it from, in my opinion, the best way to get it from the Blessing chance to chill on hit, which goes up to 60%. And that would basically guarantee that, you know, by the time the third explosion happens, they're gonna have at least one stack of chill, which is really, really good for damage. Again, going on into the remaining skills, we have Werebear. You want to grab the base crit and the increased crit. This will make, you know, your flat crit chance from either the Spriggan, like I mentioned, this crit here, or your boulders with crit, whatever you're getting it from, even more beneficial because of the global increased. I like grabbing this point for the rampage damage. Again, like I mentioned, because it's really nice when you're going through mono, you might just kill extra mobs that you didn't plan to. And this multiplies with this, so it's nice. Apparently the movement speed is semi-bugged, but obviously if this is ever fixed or whatever, obviously if you're doing Monolith, putting points into the speed would be really nice, just because you can cruise to the maps, clear even faster. Again, get enough points, get the cooldown recovery, because we want to hit that 2.5 mark, right, for the mole cooldown. And then get the Fury Leap, sharing the tree with mole, you know, so we can benefit from all the stuff here, like the binds, etc. And then again, for last, we have the Spriggan. Again, I'm going for the base crit. I give it some tankiness, some healing for the basically passive healing Spriggan has. As long as you get this, that's the only thing that matters. Again, if you manage to get flat crit chance on your boulders, which is again pretty rare and pretty exotic to say the least, but we got lucky, right? Things that you can replace this with. You can replace it with Ice Thorns, with the classic setup for defenses. I run this for arena. You could use Warcry, you know, for the immunity and the cleanse and maybe extra crit, who knows, right? You could run Upheaval, right? Like you were running on the leveling build, right? You could just up Upheaval, up, so you would be doing Earthquake, Upheaval, and Maul, right? So that would be just crazy DPS. That would probably be your best option for just doing monoliths. And you know, you would just grab back this point and grab back this point. Just take points off here or whatever. Again, let's take a look at the passives real quick. I'm gonna take a look at the base passives, because obviously depending on your gear, some of the passives are gonna be different. Again, you wanna be running all the strength, all the HP to get to Berserker. Berserker will give you a lot of tankiness. You go to Beastmaster mainly for tankiness. Funny enough, you get Resign, and you get Aspect of the Boar with this effectiveness. Some strength is also nice because, you know, strength is nice. And you want to be able to proc it manually, you know, when you hit things with your Earthquake. This will make you super tanky. You have 16% DR here plus 30 on Aspect of the Boar. So again, that's more damage reduction than some classes have all along. So incredible points. Again, you're gonna have to put 15 points here to get Earthquake, and as soon as you spec Earthquake and it has 1 point in it, you can just take off the points of Shaman, and Earthquake will stay on your specialization slot. You cannot have it on your bar, but it doesn't matter because we're proccing it through the weapon, right? Again, this is called snapshotting. This is something that 11-hour games are aware of it. They are not worried about it, and it's not punishable or anything like that. Again, I don't like it too much, so I try to stay away from it, but you can do this. The game plays like this at the moment, and at the moment it's something that you have to play around, okay? Because everyone else is. So, you know, just you save yourself a couple passives, why not? It's not like game breaking, right? But, you know, you're gonna be able to reach some of the stuff on the top of the Druid thanks to that. And, you know, for Druid, straightforward. You want to hit the breakpoint here for the elemental penetration, which is really good because you're doing fire damage. Get your endurance. If you're running the Spriggan, you know, having at least 5 points is nice to give it some armor so it doesn't die as much. And trust me, he will die a lot. You want the Thicket of Thorns for casting the Thorn Shield that I mentioned on Summon Spriggan. Spriggan form, sorry. We want to not lose the Rage Decay, all the attributes, because we scale a shit ton of attributes with this build. Everything helps us pretty much, except Dexterity and Int. We want the Crit Chance and the Leech for sustain, the Strength and the Armor. Again, the more strength we get, the better. And all the Crit Chance, all the Hide Skin. Now, if you manage to get some insane gear, like my character has, you can see that my character managed to get, for example, this rank, which comes with crit avoidance, comes with a lot of crit, comes with endurance. You know, we managed to get things like that, right? Things like this, auroras, etc. Obviously, because you're getting endurance from sources that you can't really pre-plan. For example, you can see that in my passive tree, I only need 4 points here, and I'm still capped on endurance, right? So again, if through gear, if you manage to, cover stats that you were covering with passives, that means you get more passives to invest into things. And in my particular case, I went for Impervious. So this is basically when you hit enemies, you get damage reduction. And as long as you're not getting hit or you're just hitting enemies, you will keep it up pretty much all the time. I highly underestimated these passives early on because I would thought, well, we just lose them all the time. But actually, you don't. So again, it's even more damage reduction on top of it. This will help you a lot versus one-shots, because obviously once you get hit, it will disappear. But that first hit is going to be mitigated by an extra, with 3 points, you know, it's an extra 12%. It's pretty massive. Again, the same goes for blessings. You can see that my basic build compared to my advanced build, the blessings are slightly different. I will give you both versions, and depending on the gear you find, depending on the gear what you need, depending on how lucky you get, right? You're gonna have to do some puzzling to make sure that you have the best blessing for your case. But nevertheless, this is what worked for me for the tournament. You know, again, I had to grab the crit avoidance because I didn't have the Spriggan giving me crit avoidance. But by losing the Spriggan, I also got a new ability that I could use to get more armor, right? So in this build, when I get hit, I can go up to like 20k armor. Whether this build, I'll be lucky to get like 6k or 7k, right? With the, so, you know, keep that in mind. Again, honorable mentions for this build are Wings of Argentus. I didn't get mine I'm including the increased health here just because when you transform, just for the planner, you get an idea of what your HP should look like when you're transformed. But obviously, well, your Wings of Argentus is most likely just gonna come like this, but your HP should go up as soon as you transform. Wings of Argentus is really nice because, you know, fire damage plus 2 skills, less damage taken, you're moving, Rampage, Maul, they're all movement skills. So it's just like perfect fit for this build, really good. And you know, other honorable mentions are Aurora's Time Glass for the extra life, absolutely insane if you want to get into Arena. You know, Throne of Ambition, again we do fire damage and we're stacking armor, so if you want to do a boss, you're struggling versus the dungeon boss or versus Orobis or whatever, you put this bad boy on, and as soon as you're hitting the boss every 2 seconds or whatever, 4 seconds rather, you're gonna be basically turbo immortal and doing a shit ton of damage. So again, I've included some idols that can help you through the leveling, like elemental resistances while transformed, crit avoidance, resistances, HP, etc. And you can see what I was running at the end in my version. Again, if you manage to get a Ravenous Void, I would just get my Void resistance from the Blessing and just lose the crit multi, fuck it, or damage is big enough, you know, just get the Void. And now, you know, you get the 75 Void, and now you can wear Ravenous Void with no issues. But obviously I don't have them, and I didn't drop them on a 4-day tournament. So we'll see. Maybe I try to get my pair now that they can drop with potential. Who knows? Maybe we'll do that this week. Again, thank you guys for enjoying and watching. Hopefully enjoying this build. Again, I'm gonna have a separate video, kind of like 3 minutes or something, of just like highlight clips from Twitch, nothing edited, you know, just the clips. So you can see how I actually got these items live, how the crafting order was, how what items did I use in order to craft my legendary, how did we get our Auroras, which we got through a very special process that, you know, revolves around a new rune. So again, I hope you guys are looking forward for that video too. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye bye.